scholars, it's Miss Pearson here, and it's time for our Tuesday science lesson. Today we are going to be continuing to talk about light. We have asked and answered a lot of questions about light so far in first grade science. Last time we answered the question, what is the difference between opaque, translucent, and transparent objects? Today, what we are going to be talking about is when objects block light, where does the light go? So let's get into it. I want to start by reviewing these big words that we talked about last time. The first big word was opaque. We realized an opaque object is an object that blocks most of the light and makes a good shadow. So an example of an opaque object would be a book, or maybe your slate, or your eraser. We also learned that there are translucent objects. Translucent objects are objects that block some of the light and make an okay shadow. And finally, we learned that there are transparent objects. Transparent objects are objects that block very little light and make a bad shadow. We also learned that we can use a special strategy to help us figure out if an object is opaque, translucent, or transparent. Who remembers, what strategy can we use to figure out if an object is opaque? What do opaque objects have in common? Wow, look at that brain power. We learned that we can't see through opaque objects. That's how they're blocking all the light. So if I get my eraser and I try to look through it, I can't see what's on the other side. That tells me that it's an opaque object. We also learned that we can use the same strategy for translucent objects. But in translucent objects, we can only kind of see through them. So if you have on the black tinted sunglasses, if you try to look through them, you can kind of see what's on the other side, but you can't very clearly see. So that tells me that it's translucent. And finally, for transparent objects, we realized that you can totally see right through them. So we saw that plastic Tupperware or plastic wrap, you could look right through it, and that tells us that it is transparent. But after we did all that exploration of opaque, translucent, and transparent objects, I was like, this doesn't seem like enough. I want to explore even more objects and see if this is true for lots of different objects. And as I was making some dinner, I pulled out my aluminum foil, and I realized that the box for the aluminum foil, this part right here, it's very dull. But the foil is very shiny and bright. And that made me think, I wonder what happens when I shine a light source on a shiny versus a dull object. I'm going to tell you what happened, but first, let's review what it means for something to be shiny and what it means for something to be dull. When I think shiny, I think bright and sparkling and dazzling. So I think of a mirror or aluminum foil or even some earrings. But dull objects, they're not shiny and bright and luminous, and they're not sparkling, they're dull. So when I think of dull objects, I think of rocks, I think of books, I think of wooden objects like wooden spoons. When I hold them up, it's not sparkling and bright, it's dull. So I went exploring and I saw that I looked around for some shiny and some dull objects. And when I was walking, I saw the coolest thing. I saw these mirrors up around this park. And I saw that our natural light source, the sun, was hitting these mirrors. And look what happened when the sun, that light source, hit this shiny objects. What do you see? I think you see what I see. I see that the light is almost bouncing off the objects. You can see those little light, all that light coming back off of the object. It's almost blinding. Show me a Me Too sign if you've ever saw light hit something and then it almost blinded you because the light came back and it was so bright. That's what happened to me when I was walking in this park and I saw that. I was like, whoa! When light hits this shiny object, it almost bounces back, or what we call reflects, and it becomes so bright and blinding. And then I kept walking, and eventually I got to this brick building, and I saw that when you shine a light source on the side of the brick building, it didn't come back, it didn't reflect, it wasn't bright and blinding. It just seemed like the light just lit up the brick and now I could see the brick. It was almost like all the light was absorbed by that object. And now you could see it, but it wasn't sending any light back. And I thought, well, this brick wall is definitely dull. So that must mean that when you shine a light source on a dull object, it doesn't reflect light back. It just absorbs the light. So, when you shine a light on a shiny object, the light bounces back. It reflects. But when you shine a light on a dull object, it just absorbs the light. It doesn't reflect. I want to see if you guys are seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. So what I want you to do on Seesaw is I want you to find one shiny object, like aluminum foil or a mirror, and one dull object, like a book or a teddy bear. And then I want you to shine a light source on those two objects and use your scientific minds to figure out or to tell me what you notice. Are you seeing light being reflected back and blinding you? Or is it just absorbing the light? Then, after you do that experiment on Seesaw, I want you to press the microphone button and tell me about what you noticed. Tell me about what happened when you shined a light source on a shiny object and when you shined a light source on a dull object. After you finish recording yourself talking, press that green check to submit your work so I can see what you did. I can't wait to hear from you scientists and see if you found what I found. Talk to you soon. Bye.